Hello and welcome. It has been a while. I'm Paul. This is Out Nerdy, and today we are going to talk about She-Hulk. Now, I watched it twice. Yes, I did that because I am fucking stupid. But anyway, I've watched it twice. I wanted to be as fair as I could to this show because I'm like that. I want everything to be good. Sadly, it's not. It's not. Right now, just going to go through what happens. Because this is a flashback episode, more or less, all the way through. 20 out of the fucking, well, it's about 36 minutes runtime, but when you take out all the credits. So 20 minutes of this is her going, is a flashback with Hulk. And people probably are watching this mainly for Hulk. Let's be under no illusion here. So anyway, it opens up. She's doing a closing argument. She's practicing a closing argument. Which is strange. Have you ever? I watched the Johnny Depp trial and I watched the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, and closing statements are nothing like what you see on the telly. I was, quite bored of them, to be honest. It's nothing like the TV where they're doing all this summing up and, last minute bits of, to win the case or whatever. It just don't happen like that. But anyway, she's practicing this practicing a speech, and in the room there's a man who's obviously evil because he's a man, and a woman who is a paralegal, which is not, which is it's nowhere near what the other man is because he's a lawyer, and because the man is giving her tips, he's bad, he's wrong, he's no help whatsoever, and she kicks him out of the office in favour of the paralegal because two women are best mates and she has to be validated by another woman, I guess. I don't know. But because he's a man, he's not helpful. Off he fucks. Now, I want to be absolutely clear because this is a line in the show. If a show has to say it's a fun lawyer show, it is not going to be a fun lawyer show. You are supposed to show us that you are fun, not tell us. Resident Alien is funny. It was funny from the first episode. Why? Because it was funny. It didn't have to tell us what kind of a show it was. We guessed it all. So, after this, they go for a break and she comes back in and breaks the fourth wall. No problems with that. I like fourth wall breaking. I liked it ever since Zach did it in Saved by the Bell, if that's what his timeouts were. Never bothered me. No problem with it, and I know it happens in the comics. So she starts telling us a story of what to catch us up. In the same vein as Deadpool does it, I suppose, but not as good because Deadpool. You're not going to be able to beat Ryan Reynolds, are you? No matter who you are. So we go back a few months. Now they're driving a car. She's driving. And for some reason, there is a awful obsession with it. If Captain America got any fucking pussy when he were younger, yeah. All she's doing is whether he got laid or not, and this is not good. One, because it's completely irrelevant to the story, and it's Kevin Smith levels of writing, but it also shows that the writer hasn't even watched Captain America: First Avenger. Yeah, because she's going on in the car and it's like, well, he gets his powers and then gets rushed to the front lines. That doesn't happen at all. That's a lie. That didn't happen in the MCU that we've seen. It might have happened in the comics a bit more, but we don't know. We're not going off the comic here. We're going off what they've shown us in the MCU. And in the MCU, Captain America, Alfie cameo, come on, hello boy. In the MCU, Captain America, hello boy, yeah. In the MCU, he is sent on a propaganda tour, not to go fight. He's there to raise money and get war bonds off people. Go on, there you go, mate. And he only goes to the front line because he happens to be behind the lines when Bucky's regiment gets captured, and then he goes in and helps and does something. So, you know, she's not even watched First Avenger to know her history. So anyway, while they are while they are driving, a spaceship pops up out of nowhere. Because she's too busy fucking yapping, they don't see the spaceship and they crash. Oh, she goes over Edgett Road and sorry, the dog's ass. So they go over Edgett Road, as I was trying to say before my dog interrupted me. Now, there's a difference in her origin story here, because in the comics, Bruce heals her. He gives her her blood. But in this, because, I don't know, she can't be saved by a man, I suppose, they do it where they crash because he's got an inhibitor on which suppresses the Hulk side. That's why he's in human form at the end of Shang-Chi. Fuck's sake. Obviously he's human, so he gets cut. She gets cut as a result of the crash that she caused because she wasn't paying attention to the road. She was too busy fucking yapping like a hen. His blood gets into her, she turns into the Hulk. So she essentially saves him in this instead of it being the correct way around. She hulks out and we see her, and she comes round to the edge of a road, call it, and there's magically a bar right there. It looks like they're in the middle of nowhere, but there's a bar there. So she goes into the toilets to clean herself up, and we get the least convincing gaggle of girls. They come inside and they see the state of her, and instead of actually helping her, like, she looks like she's been done in, yeah? Instead of actually helping her, they give her a makeover. Now, normal people would be getting the emergency services. But no, they tidy her up and give her makeup and, she looks awful, to be fair. And she goes outside to ring Bruce. And of course, while she is outside, she's approached by 3 creepy men because of course she is. Of course she is. Anyway, she hulks out at them and Bruce intervenes before she can do any damage. And he whips her off to Mexico, where we find out that they have some very rare kind of blood thing together, and her blood is able to heal. Her blood with the Hulk formula is able to completely heal Hulk from his post-Endgame when he did the snap and brought everyone back. So he's all fixed up now, and when he says, your blood did this because, it's magic, why not? Fuck it. Stephen Strange out. He didn't, but it's magic. So, he heals her. He heals himself with her blood, and she says, oh, it's because I'm better than you. Moments before, she goes on to call him smug. Bear in mind. So they have a heart-to-heart, and Bruce tells her that, there's no coming back from this. There's no cure. You're a Hulk now, whether, you like it or not. So, he wants to try and train her and help her with what she's going to be going through over the years. Now, there's a series of montages and training and this and that, all of which kind of emasculates Bruce, the Hulk. You can say it's not, and the Marvel bots will keep saying it. She's not better than him. No way. He's holding back. Right? This is a piss poor excuse, right? Because if Bruce is holding back, it's not teaching her anything. It makes it invalid. Because villains wouldn't hold back, would they? Holding back teaches her nothing. Pushing her to her limits does, not only in terms of finding her physical strength, but it also advances her character, giving her something to struggle with. But she doesn't take anything on board of what Bruce says. She knows best because, He doesn't know how hard it is being a woman, because women have it awful, because they randomly get murdered for no reason, apparently, according to the show. You know, and it's. I don't even. It's supposed to be funny. There's lots of moments in it which is supposed to be comedic, and it's not. Bruce wakes her up with an air horn, and it's supposed to be funny. Because he says, was that necessary? And he goes, for comedy purposes, absolutely. But it wasn't funny. It wasn't funny in the trailers, and it wasn't funny in this. And there's lots of the usual Marvel humour running abound. I mean, she's just found out she's a Hulk, but there's no time really for it to set in. I know it's supposed to be more of a fun, light-hearted show, but even then, you can still, you still have moments where things have to be impactful and rest. And it just doesn't. It's just joke. And, he's trying to teach her, it's all about, emotional balance as much as anything else, because her just being angry can cause some significant damage and kill people. But of course, she tells us that she's always angry because she's a woman, which I don't know if that's true. Are women always angry and fearful all the time? Because that sounds like a very, very stressful thing to be doing for yourself. And, the show keeps trying to tell the audience that she is oppressed, but it's clearly not true. She's a lawyer in a position of some power. And in fact, throughout the entire episode, she's almost the antagonist. She even unnecessarily picks a fight with Bruce, taking him to a draw. Yeah, Marvel bots will argue he's holding back, like I said. But don't you see how that belittles him? He can't, I'm not saying he has to smash her to the moon and back and break her arms or whatever, but, we do get a couple of scenes where, yeah, it looks like he's on top, but he should be, for the fairness of her character, it shouldn't be a draw. He should be showing her what this power is and how bad it could be. No matter of whether hers is done in a different way like it is in the comics. She's more in control. In the comics, she actually uses the Hulk to be more confident in herself. And, granted, she doesn't have an alter ego. But he still needs to make her aware that the slightest slip up could potentially kill people. And it glosses over it for whether they want to try and admit it or not, it is, I am better than you. Not as good, but better. And so off she fucks, she goes back to her life as a lawyer. And, it doesn't do anything for her character. And it certainly doesn't do anything for Bruce. A couple of days ago, it dropped that the writers said they didn't know how to write a lawyer procedural show. So what? They couldn't do research? I mean, it's Marvel. You couldn't hire a lawyer as a consultant. Hell, we've had some very high-profile trials, the last couple of years, from Kyle Rittenhouse to Johnny Depp. They are televised in America, trials, aren't they? So what is the problem? Why couldn't you write it? And if you can't write this, how are you going to handle any Matt Murdock scenes without involve him not being Daredevil, not fighting, not doing any action stuff? If you can't do the basic lawyer stuff, why would you have Matt Murdock in it? Now, moving on, the CGI. I can overlook CGI at times. It don't bother me that much. But her doing the thunderclapping looks silly. I don't know whether her arms look too thin and long or what, but it didn't look right. It didn't look right. You had that awful kick at the end. And I'm sure it was done for comedy. At least I really, really hope it was done for comedy. But it didn't land for me. But that's just me. There's a lot of people, people seem to be split on this show. Either they're either split or it is actual Marvel bots and stands and Disney shows. Who knows? But it seems to be split between. No, it wasn't as good as you're thinking it was. It was nowhere near it, or it was the best thing ever. But for the people who think it's the best thing ever, the new Marvel show is always the best Marvel show since the last Marvel show, innit? So, anyway, it ends. She wins the day, and then we skip back. She turns back to her normal self, says, "I'm ready to give my closing argument," and then we get the typical fucking strong woman anthem and whatever, fine. And then we skip to the end credit where they're still doing this. Did Captain America get laid? Fucking joke. It is not funny. It's not funny. And all you're doing is once again shitting all over Captain America. I mean, whether it's going to be in the show or not, we know she shits all over Iron Man at some point because that was in the trailer as well. And it's just stop it. Stop trying to reduce your male characters just because you want us to like Sam Wilson. Sam Wilson is great as Falcon. I would have liked to have seen him more in a Falcon movie before he comes on to Captain America. I've no problem with him being Captain America, but it would have been nice to have seen him have more of a pivotal role as Falcon first. Get his character development going, because we see him in Winter Soldier, and then a couple of Avengers films, and that's it. Oh, and Civil War, and that's it. There's not really that much character development done for him. I didn't feel not enough as where you could have done. All you gave us in Falcon and Winter Soldier was how apparently it was a big burden carrying the shield because he was black and no one can understand that, even though he had no problems accepting it off Steve. He had no problems accepting the shield of Captain America. He even says, he'll honour it and do his best, and then he clearly doesn't and gives it away right away. But anyway, it doesn't. The show doesn't work for much for me. And, as a closing statement, like I said, it has the strong woman anthem at the end. And here's what's always banded about, but you just don't like strong women. That's the reply when you critique a show like this. You don't like strong women. Well, for those people, I married a strong woman. She's a woman who struggles every day with chronic pain and fatigue. A woman who sometimes I can hear crying in bed because she's in that much pain. But she gets up every day and does her best to crack on with life. That's a strong woman. Anyway, that's it for today. It was rubbish. I tell you what, right? Very quickly. Life on Mars. I've been watching the reruns. The English version, the UK version, done when the BBC was good. What an absolute diamond of a show. Here's what I'd say. Go watch Life on Mars if you can. If you can, go find Third Watch. I'm recently rewatching that. Wow, that was it was woke as fuck. Perhaps you don't really realise it at the time, or it just did it naturally. It was natural. They had conversations between themselves about topics. Rather than hitting you over the head with a fucking hammer, they had balanced, varied views of what goes on in Third Watch. Go watch that. Go watch any show from the past. And you'll just see how better it is in every quality. Anyway, bye.